Andres Escobar was a Colombian defender who turned out for Atlético Nacional across two spells, and Swiss side Young Boys. He travelled with the Colombian squad to the 1994 World Cup, but sadly his performance at the tournament would end up tragically cutting his life short. This is a story of the tragedy of Andres Escobar. The nation of Colombia had been ravaged for many years by drug wars. The Medellin cartel had ruled supreme for a long time, being the biggest drug cartel in the world, and were bringing in up to $60 million a day in drug sales. The cartel was led by Pablo Escobar, who was of no relation to this video's subject. His cartel was notorious for acts of terrorism and killing any members of authority that may challenge them. But before Pablo Escobar met his demise, he heavily invested in football. He, and many other drug lords, realised that they could use football teams to launder millions and millions of dollars. Pablo Escobar purchased Medellin-based side Atlético Nacional, and the Colombian game experienced a resurgence. Due to high wages, the best players would remain in Colombia, rather than leave for Europe. In 1989, with Andres Escobar in their side, Atlético Nacional won the Copa Libertadores, the South American equivalent of the Champions League. Pablo Escobar was arrested in the early 1990s and was made to stay in the Catedral prison on the outskirts of Medellin, although his powers allowed him to essentially make this prison his palace. Many members of the Colombian national team would meet with Pablo Escobar in the prison and even have kickabouts with him, although on one occasion, goalkeeper René Higuita was seen travelling to the prison, which had dire consequences for the shot stopper. Higuita was arrested, allegedly for assisting in negotiating the ransom for a kidnapping, but it is widely believed that the real reason given was because of the humiliation that Higuita's meeting with Escobar gave to Colombian football. Higuita would not travel to next year's World Cup as a result. Andres Escobar did not feel comfortable about being invited to meet the drug lord, but told his sister, "Maria, I don't want to go, but I have no choice." A few months later, having escaped from prison, Pablo Escobar was killed. The city of Medellin descended into chaos after a drug lord's death, with the power vacuum leading to many desperately trying to take Pablo Escobar's place. With bombings and shootings rife in Medellin, the Colombian national team headed to America for the 1994 World Cup. Andres Escobar was on the plane, and despite the state his city was in, he felt optimistic. He believed a good performance at the World Cup could help people put their differences aside and unite them in support of the national team. At this time, Andres Escobar had just got engaged and had also accepted an offer to join AC Milan after the World Cup. Colombia arrived in America hopeful. Their qualifying campaign had been extremely impressive, losing only once in their previous 26 matches and conceding only twice in their qualification campaign. They were drawn in a group alongside Romania, the USA and Switzerland. Colombia's first game would be against Romania at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. They came away disappointed, losing 3-1. Players returned to their hotel rooms with threats from people who had hacked into the TV systems. Luis Fernando Herrera had received word that his brother had died back home in a car crash. Andres Escobar made sure to comfort him, saying, "The country depends on you. This is our one shot at the World Cup." Their next game, against the hosts, would be crucial. But the tension the players were feeling continued to rise. Their manager, Francisco Maturana, reportedly entered the pre-match meeting in tears, having been told that if he selected Gabriel Gomez, the entire squad would be murdered. The game kicked off, once again at the Rose Bowl, with both sides desperate for a win. In the 35th minute, American midfielder John Harkes floated the ball into the box. Andres Escobar stretched to block it from reaching any American attackers, but with his legs outstretched, he inadvertently guided it into his own net. It was a disaster for Colombia. Back home, Andres Escobar's nephew was watching the game on TV. When the own goal was scored, he turned to his mother and said, "Mummy, they're going to kill Andres." His mother replied, "No, sweetheart, people aren't killed for their mistakes. Everyone in Colombia loves Andres." America would score again, and although Adolfo Valencia netted a late consolation, Colombia suffered a second defeat. Colombia had a slim hope of reaching the knockout stages if they won and Romania lost. Colombia would beat Switzerland 2-0, but Romania would win against the USA. Colombia were out of the World Cup. Andres Escobar was devastated by Colombia's early exit, but his friends rallied around him to improve his mood. Escobar released a statement to Bogota-based newspaper El Tiempo, stating, "Life doesn't end here, we have to go on. Life cannot end here. No matter how difficult, we must stand back up. We only have two options, either allow anger to paralyze us and the violence continues, or we overcome and try our best to help others. It's our choice. Let us please maintain respect. My warmest regards to everyone. It's been a most amazing and rare experience. We'll see each other again soon, because life does not end here." Andres Escobar soon decided to go out for drinks with friends to take his mind off the situation. He invited Luis Fernando Herrera, but he told Escobar he should lie low. His manager Maturana said the same, but Escobar believed it was important that he show his face. Escobar went to the El Indio bar in Medellin and enjoyed drinks with friends. He soon got chatting to others at the bar, but these people soon started to insult him, mocking his own goal. Escobar soon got up and left the bar, but the group followed him out, hurling more abuse at him as he walked away. Escobar got into his car and drove back towards those shouting abuse at him, aiming to reason with them. Escobar insisted that his own goal had been an honest mistake, but the tensions continued to escalate and two of the men drew out handguns before opening fire. Andres Escobar was shot 6 times, with the killer reportedly shouting "goal" after each shot was fired. The group then drove off. Andres Escobar was rushed to hospital, where he died of his injuries around 45 minutes later. Andres Escobar, a man known by many as the gentleman of the field, had his life taken away from him because of one mistake on the pitch. Over 120,000 people attended his public funeral, mourning the loss of one of their best players. In 2002, a statue of him was unveiled in Medellin. Andres Escobar's life was one tragically taken away because of a simple error. He was about to join a Milan side that were perhaps the best team in the world. Whilst those who murdered him were arrested, it is not enough to bring back the years that could have been. Andres Escobar, despite the own goal, will forever remain a hero in Colombia, a true professional who gave his all for the team. And whilst many may only know him for the circumstances surrounding his death, every year Colombian fans bring photos of him to matches, showing that amongst his nation, the gentleman of the field will never be forgotten.